Spoken Word continues. The Octavia Nicholas story. Story written in poems, also in prose. This poem is Justice and Peace. It follows on the last one, I Survived. So after a difficult traumatic experience with physical abuse, emotional violence, Octavia Nicholas survived. She sought justice and peace. Did she get it? Octavia Nicholas, you were advised to go to the police. What happened?
Yes, so I took the advice and I went to the police to make a report. And strangely enough, when I got there, the officer says, okay, I understand where you're coming from. We are going to give you a medical form. You take it to the doctor, you go through the process, then you return it, and then we will take it from there. But when I took back the form the following day and was about to give my report, I was told by someone that, well, we were told if you come that whatever you say, it's a lie because someone in high authority had the firearm in their possession at the time that you claim that you were assaulted. So that for me, I didn't know what to do after. I sat there and I gave my report with the help of an officer who was, he was very helpful. So he sat with me and I made my report and he said, some part of me believe, what you're saying. And he was determined to, to assist. So I got a little help there. But after that, because the person who gave the orders were someone in high authority, then everything basically came to a standstill. So in order to get my justice, I had to go through the legal affairs, gender affairs, sorry. So I had to go through gender affairs, and gender affairs assisted me with getting a restraining order through the family court. And that's where the process of getting my justice started. So the persons who swear to, to protect, they actually failed in that instance. So I was basically being victimized twice, if you want to call it that.
How was that for you after having gone through what you did and then going to the source of what should have been respite and refuge and assistance for you to have been essentially turned down at first notice and first glance? How was it?
I was really broken. And then the thought came to me that, how many other people would have gone through something similar. So I had to now go through the courts. I had to get myself a good legal representation. And that's when things started to get in motion. They started to move and get things going because now everyone was trying to now cover their tracks to try to work along to make things right, but it had already gone too far. So once you've started with a lie, unless you want to implicate yourself, you have to continue in the lie. So the narcissist had people in high authority who was helping. Not only that, but while we were at the family court actually seeking a protection order, then the narcissist went on to file a private criminal matter against me in another court. And those were happening simultaneously. So while I got my restraining order from the family court, when I went to the second court to answer to that private criminal matter, again, I was victimized again because I was told that that person in high authority came and gave, and spoke on the narcissist behalf. And then I was told you're found guilty of lying to the court. So I was said you're gonna go to jail for X time, or you're expected to pay, to the court, or you have to go to jail. So after going through that process, going through the right channels to get help, I just had everyone, working against me, and why it explains it in the poem that says justice and peace. Just to help out someone else, just to help out someone else who was a bit more popular, just to help out someone that was a friend to someone else. So that was one of the most hurtful things for me going through this entire ordeal, because I said, there I am trying to get my justice and I can't. And not because I'm not right, not because I was not abused, but it's because there are persons who took an oath to swear, they swear to protect, but they're driven by other things and not doing what they're being paid to do. So that was very hurtful for me as
The
well.
system was compromised,
That's what
and
it is.
you were the victim in all
Yes.
this.
Yes.
You say in this poem, Justice and Peace, they manipulate the authorities and blind their eyes with gifts and other things alike. This is what was happening.
Yeah. Because it had to be, this is my poem, and putting, what you think would, happen, because, there people are familiar with people. It's a small society, and we know each other. So someone goes to you for help, and you really try to help because we're friends. I know you very well. We sit together. We drink together sometimes. So my brother, my sister comes to me for help, and I'm going to try to really help them. Also, too, sometimes people look at who is going through the system and think, well, it's easy for us because this person may not be as popular. This person, I don't think, has that support. So it's easy for us to just do a walkover. And that's when I thought as well that I had to write this and put this in writing, because I said, how many other persons? And I had really good legal representation. So I was able to get my justice. But then I thought about the persons who were not maybe as privileged as I am to get that legal representation, to get the good advice that I got, to get that support. Then I said, many people were victimized, many people maybe ended up in jail innocently. And that really grieved me. It really hurt me quite a lot. And that's one of the reasons for writing this book, also to shed some light on what can happen in the system and what can happen to people as well. And also to tell them as well, you need to, although you go through all of that, but you can still get your justice.
Because, as you said in our previous poem, the truth
The
always
truth
wins.
always wins. And that was the point when I said, when we get to the part of justice and peace, I will explain why. And that's what really happened there. Once you speak your truth, the truth always stands. When there are lies being told, you have to use one lie to cover another. And sometimes you forget along the line, what was said before. And I think in that case, this really happened a lot. And that's how I was able to overcome.
Take me back to when you were told that you could be imprisoned. How were you able to get out of this situation? Because this was counteraction by the narcissist to try to throw you off, to try to derail the justice that you were seeking. How were you able to prevail?
Well, as I said, I had good legal representation, and we sort of had an insight based on the things that were happening. We understood what was happening behind the scenes. So my lawyer said, just go through the process which we went through. And he said, we're going to appeal, because I know we have, the rights to everything is on paper. We have all the evidence that we need. And that's what he did. We appealed the matter in the higher courts and the Court of Appeal. And 3 judges heard the matter, and they were able to throw out the ruling of that particular court altogether, and said that these are the issues that undermine the court system. And that's how I was able to get my justice. So then, because of that, I was not able to I did not have to go to jail or pay any some money to the courts. So then I got my justice there.
The restraining order still stands?
At this point, I think the time has passed. So it was supposed to be, I think, for a 3-year period. So I think that time should be at an end now.
The final stanza of the poem, "Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. My victory is near, and I will watch while they fall. I will be patient and wait."
You know, I wrote that just thinking, about that particular scripture. And I said sometimes we just need to be patient. And strangely enough, I have seen that happen. There are things that I won't mention for various reasons, but I have seen that the persons who have worked against me in so many ways, that the vengeance, when it says the vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, I will watch while they fall. I have seen them fall. I have seen it happen. And I will share a particular instance with you. There was one individual who actually went to court as well to testify against me. And after the book was written, I was invited to a particular church to share with the youths on narcissism. And when I got to the church, the pastor introduced me to that very individual. And he said, "I think I know you." And I said, "You sure do." And I reminded the individual where I worked and where I was from. And the individual said, "Oh." And he sat there through the entire session, listened to everything that I had to say. But afterwards for fellowship, he left. So he left. I was, keeping my eye. And I was in awe because I said, what coincidence that this pastor would have heard me on the radio, would have asked me to come to his church. And that very person who persecuted me was right there sitting in the audience, listening to what I went through. So I literally got goosebumps. And this is just one instance of watching, while they fall. And he left before the service was over. And then I spoke to the pastor and I said, this was my situation. And he was in shock. And I said, "I feel so bad." And he says, no, don't feel bad. God had it that way that you would be, that you were asked to come here and that individual would be there to listen to everything that you went through. So this is just one of my wins and watching. There's so many other things that I can see, but I will choose not to for various reasons. But I have watched and seen all the persons who worked against me. You've seen how they were defeated.
Because you got your justice, are you at peace?
I am at peace. I am.
Justice and Peace, it's called. Spoken word. Martin Luther King Jr. said the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And this is an example of that very same thing. This is the spoken word. Time now to hear Justice and Peace.
Justice and peace. Oh, where can I find justice and peace? The system has failed to bring swift relief. They swear to serve and protect, but are driven by greed and material gain. So I must fight and let truth reign. It's not easy being victimized by those who plot and speak dirty lies. They manipulate the authorities and blind their eyes with gifts and other things alike. Evil is present but will never prevail. It flourishes for a while but will quickly fail. It battles with the truth but will crumble and fall. Vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. My victory is nigh. I will watch while they fall. I will be patient and wait, for the good is at work to bring justice and peace to the innocent and those who need it most.